Hello, and welcome to Beering in Mind Beer Reviews. From today, we are going to look at 6 beers from a brewery that has started relatively recently, in the past 2 years, and that is Yggdrasil Brewery in Hiratsuka, which is located southwest of Tokyo. And excuse me, the name is unusual. It is an Old Norse word, and it comes from Norse mythology, meaning the tree of the world tree. And the YGG is a way of referring to the god Odin in Norse mythology, and so the two together, Igu and Drajidu, mean the horse of Odin. And so I'll try to put a picture of this tree on the inside here, and the logo of the brewery also uses this tree. This brewery was founded by 2 Frenchmen, and I've met one of them once, and they are apparently both heavy metal heads, and so a lot of the beers have heavy metal themes, and they use a lot of themes from Norse mythology, kind of maybe some Scandinavian heavy metal sort of influence. They, right out of the box, right out of the gate rather, they started producing all sorts of interesting beers, not just craft beer, but also cider and mead, which to my knowledge no other Japanese craft beer producer has really attempted. They were a gypsy brewer for a time, but apparently now they have their own 300-liter system on which they use, and I've heard that they're aiming for about 400 kiloliters per year eventually to get up to that here. They're both French, and they tend to use French hops in their beers. For example, Strisselspalt or Mistral hops, which both come from the Alsace region of France. And so in addition to that, they of course also use some Japanese ingredients, and the first beer we'll look at definitely has that here. Okay, so Yggdrasil Brewery in Hiratsuka, and we're going to look at 6 different beers from them. All right, and now we are going to look at the last of the Yggdrasil brews, and this is actually a apple cider, and it's a hopped apple cider, and it is a 7% apple cider. The name of this is called Idun, and it refers to a goddess in Norse mythology. Here's a representation of her here, and she's presenting an apple, and which is quite apropos for this one here, which is an apple cider. This one has 2 ratings on Rate Beer. They're pretty high though, 3.85 average, and the category is hopped apple cider. So I think we need to give this one a go. Let's sample the apple that she is offering us. Okay, well, this color is quite different. Definitely does have a kind of apple juicy look. Very interesting. You can see the carbonation here sticking to the sides of the glass and then floating off from it. Okay, aroma. Whoa, definitely strong, kind of pungent apples, apple skin maybe. Right away from this, I expect to get some kind of tannic note when I taste it. It does have some kind of, excuse me, piney sort of hop. Apple for sure. very ripe kind of apple, citrus in there, and pine as well. Very nice, interesting mix. So cider makers around the world now are doing all sorts of interesting things. In the U.S., in Japan too. You're finding all kinds of interesting things coming out of cider makers. And this brewery, Yggdrasil, they are interesting because they do make beer, of course, and they make cider and they make mead. So, you know, they haven't been around very long, and they're right out of the box. They're trying all kinds of interesting new things. And so this is, you know, something very simple, very delicious. It does have a kind of earthiness, kind of almost a kind of funk into it. Tastes very rustic, very almost barnyardy kind of note to it. Interesting stuff. So if you happen to be in Japan and you're around the Tokyo area, you can find Yggdrasil beers in bars, and they have a bar restaurant down in Hiratsuka. You can go down there. Of course, in these coronavirus days, you may not be able to do that so easily, but you can buy their beers online. They're selling mixed six-packs, and that's where I got this one. Okay, so once again, this is Yggdrasil Idun. It's a hopped apple cider at 7%. This certainly deserves your attention. Okay, that's it for all the Yggdrasil beers. Next, we're going to move on to another series of beers from another brewery. Please subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment, okay? Bye-bye.